Hello everyone. It's been some time now since the last sneak peek we got. Over 2 months. We used to get sneak peeks around 1, 2 a month ever since pre-alpha, but then alpha came and that kind of stopped for a good reason. The developers have been working on the game. They have their own priorities, and they probably just didn't have anything that they could show us specifically, but that changed a few days ago when we got this. So back to sneak peeks it is. I'm gonna let it play on its own, that way you guys can watch it, process it as it is, and then for anyone that's interested, well, we're just gonna take a deeper look into it. So let's do it. So starting with this dude, he's the highlight of the sneak peek. His name is Goblin Brawler. He's originally from Clash Royale, and in that game he's part of a card known as Goblin Cage. So he stays inside the cage until the health is depleted, after which he comes out and he's free to start fighting. So when we take a look at him, at his look between the two games, we can see that it's a pretty close resemblance. I guess some noticeable differences, one being the fact that the colors are a bit more muted, his eyebrows, the hairs seem more defined, and so do his muscles. It seems like he's been spending more time at the gym or something. So overall, pretty similar, but just more realistic. Like, it's still a cartoony style, but everything looks a bit just more detailed. If you turn him around, the tattoo is the same. The bandage thing on his hands are the same. Back tattoo is the same. And then a difference would be he's left tattoo. In the original game it says Goblin Life, but in this one it says G. Now, why did he change his tattoo? Well, who knows? Maybe that's something the lore of the game will explore. Other than that, it is pretty much a one-to-one transformation. Now, something I want to bring a little bit of emphasis into is the character on the back. It is a healer from Clash of Clans. As her name suggests, well, she heals. She hasn't been in other games with Clash characters, mainly because of that. We have another troop, a member of her family, if I'm not mistaken, it's her sister, and it's a battle healer. And they do pretty similar things, but of course the battle healer can fight. So most likely than not, that's the troop that we'll get for this game as a hero. But I do think it would be cool if we got the healer herself. If not as a hero, at least as part of the enemy side. I think it could allow for some cool situations where you have to prioritize her because she's keeping the enemies alive, and then you will focus on the enemies. For the next part of this sneak peek, we get the Goblin Brawler's moveset, starting with his main attack, which is pretty simple. He just throws fists, throws punches in a combo. For the second one, it seems to be his heavy attack. So he holds his arms wide and then he does a very powerful slap. I really like the way the animation looks for this one specifically. The light at the end, special effects, really cool. And for the third one, originally I thought this was the main skill just because it looked very different. But now I'm inclined to say it is a sub skill. every sub-skill we've had in the game so far has some sort of movement. And if we look at the way this move starts, he first runs a little bit, grabs the goblin, and throws him all in one fast motion. So it could be a sub-skill. So let's assume that's the case. It would mean we're missing his main skill. Since this is Goblin Brawler, and his defining trait is that he's part of the Goblin cage, I would think that for our main skill, it would involve a cage in one way or another. We have seen the Goblin cage. It was in one of the Goblin maps, all the way to the right of it. It was just the cage itself. So I guess you could say the Goblin Brawler has been lurking around this whole time, waiting to show himself. For the next part of the sneak peek, we get what seem to be skins, which is really exciting. The way the game looks, just the visuals for the heroes, the environments, the animations. It has really big potential for skins, and yeah, I just think they could look great. For the ones that we got here, they seem to be inspired by that old cartoon style from the 1930s, where they have special animations for the movesets, where they have special sounds. Would it be a cell shaded look? That way they look cartoony as well. Again, that's something that we'll see when we actually see them in game, but they look really cool. And then for the last part of the sneak peek, we got this. So I think this is the one that's the most up to interpretation. Okay, so we have the Barbarian, and then we have a healing container or capsule. But guess what? He can't reach it. Why? Because there's just a gap between it, so he can't get the health that he needs. There's two ways that I see this. One, that only certain characters can access certain parts of the environment. In this case, the Barbarian, he doesn't have a ranged attack, and he cannot jump. So how is he going to reach it? Well, you will need a character that can reach it. Someone like Archer or Valkyrie or Firecracker or Fisherman. Why? Because they all have ranged attacks. So they could hit it, and then after that the health just, if you're close enough, it goes to you. Another way could be with Firecracker, Valkyrie, and maybe even Countess. Why? Because Firecracker and Valkyrie, they both have moves that in which they jump. So they could jump that gap and then reach the capsule. For Countess, she doesn't have a jump, but for her sub skill, she turns into bats, and well, bats fly, so she could go from one platform to the other. So they will be able to close the gap. This will only be one way that such barriers are implemented. Another one could be based on specific like elements of your character. Like let's say there's the Electro Wizard or Zappies or even Sparky. They all have to do with electricity. So maybe there's like an electric barrier, and only they can go through it. Or maybe there's like wind blowing on an area, and you can't access it because it pushes you back. However, if you have a heavy character like P.E.K.K.A or a Gigant, then you will be able to go to that side. So that's one way to think about it. However, I would say this is the less likely one, simply because not every character would be able to do it, but they could do it so that it's not, it's just a bonus. It's not required. For the more likely one, and I think it's more likely for two reasons. One, every character will be able to do it, and two, we got a hint from one of the developers about something similar to what's being shown here. And that's we were told about something called tower shifts. So shifts, which means it's shifting, it's moving, it changes. And if we look at the picture, what do we see in the background platforms? They are blurry. And what does blurry mean? Well, if it's like a camera one, it could mean that it's like poor camera quality. but more than that, it means movement. So those platforms are moving. They could be moving. They could be going up and down. Maybe they even go to the sides as well. So even for the barbarian, you would have to wait for a time where the platform is at a level where you can hop onto it, and then from that platform go to the one with the healing capsule. I also think this could mean elevations, because if you're going up and down in platforms, then that means you're changing levels. So there could be an element part from the environment that's like really high, so you would have to get on a platform that moves up, and then there's a whole new world over there. The opposite could also be true. Maybe you can stay on the platform, go lower than you were, and if you go back onto the stage or into the stage, maybe there's like a hidden cave or a hidden room or just some sort of secret. I think that would be really cool, because it's ways to expand each floor without having to cover more horizontal area. You know, you can explore up, you can explore down, and I think that promotes or incentivizes more exploring. And yeah, that's today's sneak peek. We got the Goblin Brawler and his moveset. We got the Magician Countess and the Dog Goblin Brawler skins. And we got this, which I mean, you can look at it in different ways. Yeah, what do you guys think? What could this mean? If this is your first time watching my channel, hi, welcome. I make Project R.I.S.E videos, both game videos, other Supercell game videos, mostly gameplay, but I've also done fan art. And well, for Project R.I.S.E and both games specifically, I plan on doing more sneak peek videos. That way we can see how the game keeps progressing, you know, until we get to play it again. So if any of that is something you would be interested in watching, then again, welcome and thank you for watching. Until next time.